is Jazz from Caitlin and Jazz Books, and today I'm going to be doing a review of The Call by Paedar O'Gillen. And yeah, I have talked about this before, but genuinely it's one of the best books I have ever read. So I felt like it needed an entire video dedicated to it, so here we go. So before we begin, I just wanted to point out that I am going to be going into some spoilers. Not massive spoilers, but still spoilers nonetheless. Like, I'll be going into like things that happen in the plot and things that happen to certain characters and things like that. So if you don't want to see any of that, I would skip parts of the video. I'll try and let you know when they are. Yeah, I try and let you know when they are, because I still want you to watch the video. So, quickly before we start, my current read is New Moon by Stephanie Meyer. Actually, I just finished it this morning, just before recording this video, but I thought I might as well say it anyway because I haven't actually started my next book. I thought this was okay. I didn't think it was as good as the first one, and certain things happened that I didn't want to happen because... yeah, I don't want to say anything because I might upset a lot of fans of the books, but yeah, there's some parts of it I didn't enjoy, and let's just leave it at that. I gave it 3 out of 5 stars, but I quite enjoyed it. Like, I still liked it, just not as much as the first one. Let's get into the meat of the video. I don't know what this was. Meat. Anyway, I have got a notebook here because I actually planned this video because I just thought it was a much better way of structuring it and it's a bit less stressful than making stuff up on the spot. So I have planned this video, so this is going to be here. So if I look down, that's what I'm looking at. So first of all, the basic story. It is set in Ireland in the future, and we, because we're all horrible, we banished this race of fairies that was here before us, into this horrible grey world. And basically they want revenge because we banished them to this horrible world. So what they do is, at some point during your adolescence, so between the ages of like 12 and 18, they take you to their world, and you have to survive 3 minutes there. Now it doesn't sound like a long time, but just to give you an idea, 3 minutes in our world, that's what they mean. 3 minutes in our world. In their world, 3 minutes is a day. So it's a long time. You have to survive. And they take you there not because they want to sit you down and have a nice tea party and stuff. They're not like that. They want to kill you, but they don't do it easily. They do it in the most horrible ways you can imagine. You have to read it, but it's very graphic, like the whole thing. Everything is described so intricately and in so much detail. Sometimes you just want to close the book because your imagination goes wild, because some of these descriptions are truly horrific, but that's what makes it such a good book, because if a book makes you feel something like that, it just means it's a very good book. The book isn't just set in Ireland, it is set in a survival school where these teachers, some who have had past experience in this fairy world and they've lived, and just some people that were around before the whole cool thing started. So they've been teaching these kids survival basics, tactics and techniques to be able to survive for the time that their call comes. And they do some pretty horrific things to help them get to that point of feeling safe and ready for the call. Basically, this isn't really spoilers because it doesn't, I don't know, if it's mild spoilers I guess. But in their first year, I think there's 7 years there if I can remember rightly, but in their first year, while they're on their first night there, they give them this tea and it makes them fall asleep, and when they wake up they're naked in this forest, and it's sort of simulating what happens when they have the call. It's meant to be terrifying and you wake up naked because you go but your clothes don't, so that just makes it slightly more terrifying if you ask me. But yeah, so that's just one of the things. Every week they have like a hunting thing, a bit Hunger Games style. Like you split into 2 teams, the hunting and the hunted, and you basically have to hunt each other. So it's like, it's pretty hard and tough, but you know, you gotta do what you gotta do. So the next part is kind of spoilers, and I might not have gotten this completely right because it's been about a month since I've read it. But from what I can remember, so don't judge me if I get this slightly wrong. This is spoilers though, so skip this part if you don't want spoilers. But basically, the fairies are trying to kill all the teenagers because it's all part of their big scheme plan. Because basically, when the worlds align, they can come into our world again, and they basically just want to kill everyone and take their world back, basically. So yeah, they're killing the teenagers and making other teenagers who survive their spies to help them do this. So that is the general gist of it, and that's like all the plot and stuff. Okay, now I'm going to talk about characters. So the main character, who it follows for the majority of the time, though it does switch point of views to show different people's perspectives when they've had the call, things like that. But the main character is called Nessa, and she has polio, which has affected her legs, so she can't run as well as other kids. So she's less physically able, and she's been told her whole life that she's never going to survive, that parents should have put her out of her misery when they still have a chance before her call happens. But she is determined to, like, completely change people's views of her. She wants to survive the call more than anything in the world. So she trains hard, she studies a lot. She is like a goody two-shoes student who is so determined to survive because everyone else has told her otherwise her entire life, and she wants to completely contrast to this prejudice thing that these prejudice things that people have said to her. So yeah, go Nessa. And Nessa has a crush on a lovely little guy called Anto. Is that short for Anthony? I think it is, I can't remember. But his name, not crush, his nickname is Anto, and he is her crush. And sometimes she sneaks out the girl's dorm and she hides a bit of poetry under his pillow. It sounds creepy. When you read it, it's very romantic, so, you know. And he's a pacifist, so no one really expects him to put up much of a fight when he's called. But you find out, and spoilers, that it's not, because you kind of see it coming, but you find that he is in love with Nessa too, and when she is put under threat, he does everything to protect her, and it's just so cute. I love them. They're actually adorable. And then on the other side of the spectrum, you have Connor, who is an utter dick. Sorry, I should have said in the description or something that there was language. I need to remember to say something in the description. Not that anyone reads the description, but yeah, sorry about that. But he is actually the worst. Like, you read about bad guys and you think they are bad. He is even worse than that, because he just is. And he has these cronies, and I can't remember exactly what it's called, but I think his group of like cronies is called they're called the Knights of the Round Table, and it actually makes me laugh so much because they act all big and tough, and then pretty much all of them die. I mean, at this point, it's not even spoilers because pretty much everyone dies. Like, people die all the time in this book, so you shouldn't really get too attached to any characters, if you know what I mean. But yeah, this is the spoilers part, so if you don't want this, skip. But just know that he's horrible and you should not trust him. Basically, he's overconfident, he is cocky, he is actually a horrible person. He always picks on Nessa, he always tries to hurt her and do horrible things to her for apparently no reason. And then you find out he also has a crush on her, and then he tries to rape her, which is great. Also described very graphically, but you know, I read that bit and I was just like, you are so horrible, I cannot even. I just wanted to throw the book and like pretend that the book was Connor and just, oh, he's such a horrible character. But yeah, he is actually horrible. Oh, I just can't. He's just horrible. And basically, oh yeah, this is the other big spoiler thing, so yeah. When he receives his call, he's always like, yeah, no problem, I'll survive. And he deliberately gets himself kidnapped by these fairies so he can strike a deal with them. The deal is, if he is a spy for them and helps them in their conquering, he will become the king of Ireland, and he gets to kill Nessa because she rejected him after he tried to sexually assault her. He's actually the worst bad guy ever. I mean, he's brilliantly written, it's great, but oh, I hate him so. That's my little rant over about the worst like the best, worst character in history. Let's move on to my favourite character, who is Megan. And she is Nessa's best friend. But Nessa doesn't really want to get attached to too many people because she knows that lots of people will die. But Megan, I distinctly remember she had red hair, and I love her so much. She's actually the best. She likes to sass a lot of people. She's like, she's the student that doesn't really try hard, but she's a very good student. And she's always a bit mischievous and always too nosy. She pokes her nose into things where it doesn't belong, and she's always like, she's happy to fight back. She's really resilient. She's amazing. I actually love Megan. She's the best. Spoilers, so skip this part. Oh, she dies. Megan dies. And I was legitimately crying when that happened because she is such a nice person. But she died in such an inspiring way. I mean, it was probably the most heroic death in the whole book, if I'm completely honest. I'll go into it. So basically, when if your body is horribly mutilated or changed by the fairy's magic, your body comes back, and people have to deal with that because you're horribly disfigured and things like that. But Megan knew that her body was going to be taken back, and she was in a situation where she couldn't possibly survive, and I was like, Megan, you can still do this. And kind of trigger warning as well at this point, because this was also quite graphic. She starts to cut herself in the book, and you think that she's trying to commit suicide to spare herself from all these things that are going to happen to her if the fairies catch her, but she's carving a warning message into herself because she knows that when her body goes back, people will see it. So she dies a hero. She is... I just love Megan. Why did she have to die? Like, really? Why? I'm getting, like, emotional just thinking about it. But, yeah. One thing that slightly annoyed me about this book, I mean, I'm being very picky here, but the thing is, I feel like it could have been a standalone. Like, the only reason that it's not really a standalone is because of the very last chapter. And I feel like the second book isn't going to be as good because this one was so amazing that no standards could possibly be exceeded by another book, which is kind of upsetting for me, but on the bright side, because this one's only just come out, it'll probably be like another year until the next one comes out, so I have a year to bask in this amazingness before the next one comes out. But yeah, basic gist, don't read if you don't want to read in graphic detail about things like rape and things like that, and gore and things like, yeah, I've already said that. But yeah, graphic images, so I wouldn't read if you're squeamish, but it's an amazing book. I highly recommend it, and I'm sure anyone else that has read this will highly recommend it because it's so good. It's so good. Obviously, if you buy it, the cover will be different because this is the art copy. I don't particularly like the cover on this one, but, you know, don't judge a book by its cover. So yeah, thank you very much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this review, and I hope I didn't spoil anything to you if you didn't click ahead fast enough. But yeah, I hope I have encouraged you to read this because it is genuinely one of the best books I've read this year, or ever, to be honest. So yeah, thank you very much for watching, and we will both see you next week.